Longhorn fans are concerned about Texas defending the deep ball versus Oklahoma, and they should be. Texas hasn't necessarily had any systemic weakness on defense, but one of the things that's had some minimal success in multiple games versus the Texas defense would be the deep ball. Now, I guess you could extrapolate and say, well, Texas, it played backup quarterbacks for 3 straight games, so they probably shouldn't be giving up deep balls to anybody. And if they end up playing a really good quarterback, could that good quarterback exploit Texas on those vertical shots downfield? Jalen Milroe had a really good deep ball. It was actually one of the best parts of his skill set as a passer. And it was a nice deep ball. Drop placement was good. And it was a pretty deep ball. And he threw really well against Texas. Bama was 4 of 7 on passes 20 yards or more down the field, including a touchdown on one of those deep balls. And Sawyer Robinson, who's a below average quarterback, to say the least, to be nice, he was 2 of 7 on those deep shots down the field. So Texas basically is allowing a third of their deep shots to be completed down the field, which is not terrible. That's not necessarily bad. And as I said, it's not a systemic issue, but the Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Serena Williams size, Cardi B size, Megan Thee Stallion size, but is they haven't really faced a good quarterback yet. And Dylan Gabriel is a good quarterback. They always say that if you're a good quarterback, a decent quarterback, you're supposed to, at a distance, be able to hit a house, but some of them are really good. They can hit the door from a distance, and there are some quarterbacks so elite accuracy-wise, they can actually hit the knob from a distance. Dylan Gabriel's a hit-the-knob kind of guy. He is really accurate with the football, but he, as Taylor McCarthy mentioned, he hasn't been under a lot of duress. And Texas will put more pressure on him than he's faced all year. It's the best defense that Dylan Gabriel's faced, but this is also the best quarterback that the Texas defense has faced. So getting back to the deep ball, Texas has allowed a third of their deep balls to be completed. Dylan Gabriel's deep ball accuracy is actually one of the best in the country. I haven't compared it to others, but I imagine completing over 50% of your deep balls puts you in rarefied air, because that's usually the norm is around a third, around 33, 34%. That's probably average. Just to do this closer to 60% on his passes of 20 yards or more down the field. 13 or 22, averaging 24 yards per attempt. So for Texas in this game, that's going to be a primary concern, how they defend the deep ball. And for Dylan Gabriel, he's got some speedsters on the outside. I don't think they have, an elite wide receiver, but they don't need one. All they need guys that can stretch the field. Remember, they got Brendan Thompson, and he's like the rotational guy. He's like 4th or something in the rotation of guys, and he's a speedster. Remember, he transferred from Texas. This is a guy that ran, 400 meters, something
Track
like
star,
that. Yeah. So they got some speed on the outside. And remember, that's where teams were attacking Texas. They would try to isolate Ryan Watts on their speedster and then just make it a track meet. That will happen again. So teams are attacking certain positions and certain players with these vertical shots. They're attacking the Texas safeties, whether it be Jerry Thompson or whether it be Michael Taft or Keaton Crawford this past weekend, and they're attacking Ryan Watts. So I do think there's a couple of things that PK can do to try to minimize the damage of any deep shots, deep attacks by the Oklahoma offense. I think you keep your 2 deep safeties. All right, I would go with 2 high shell look to deter Dylan Gabriel, a veteran quarterback, from even chunking it deep. That way you can safeguard yourself with umbrella coverage from those deep shots. And teams and quarterbacks usually, and based on analytics, they usually take fewer deep shots when you have deeper safeties. Now you're going to leave yourself vulnerable to the run game because you'll have to play with a lighter box if you're going to go with those 2 high safeties. Remember, this happened in Texas in the Kansas game. Texas played a lot more 2 high safeties in the first half versus Kansas. Kansas ate Texas up with that option game in the second half. One of the big adjustments by Texas to neutralize the triple option was they just put an extra defender in the run game, and they went with a lot of single high safety looks. So they can always make that adjustment. And if I'm PK, I'll make that adjustment later. But I think the deep ball could hurt you early. And if I'm Oklahoma, I'm throwing the deep ball early and often versus Texas. And if I was Texas, I'd want to force them to have to march the length of the field. You can play with a lighter box because your defensive line is one of the best in the country. You got the highest graded defensive tackle in the country in Tavondre Sweat. And Byron Murphy may be just as good, if not better. I would bank on my defensive line being able to win up front with light boxes. Oklahoma is averaging less than 4 yards per carry. They're not a dominant, formidable run game. And with Jalen Ford and your defensive line, even with just 6 guys in the box, doesn't mean there are 6 guys in the run fit. A guy like Jalen Catalon can come from 12, 13 yards away as an alley cat and precisely, with a precise angle, come down and make plays near or behind the line of scrimmage. We've already seen that. So that's one thing I would do. I'd play too high. I'd go with a light box early on because you got Jalen Ford and you got one of the best D-lines in the country. I would also tighten up my rotation of safeties. They're attacking Keaton Crawford. They're attacking guys like Taft in coverage. I would keep Jalen Catalon and Jaron Thompson and maybe a young Derek Williams, tighten that rotation so they're not able to exploit certain players with that deep ball. And with Ryan Watts, same thing. I might, play some of those younger corners, Gavin Holmes or even Malik Muhammad later on in that game because early on, a lot of emotion flowing for a young player who's never experienced it. But after Ryan Watts has settled down, and they may go after him early on too, I probably would play some of those younger guys because Malik Muhammad has a better technique at the line of scrimmage. I think he's a better coverage guy overall, and he's a better ball hawk than Ryan Watts. So he has a higher ceiling than Ryan Watts, but right now, experience can hurt you, or I should say inexperience can hurt you in this game.